Play. 59.
The semi-finalists on debut here 2 years ago. And now here with a much stronger team. And as you mentioned, Andrea, very accomplished, isn't she, and ready to go. A couple of days ago, comfortably beating Belinda Bencic.
It's always interesting to see when somebody has their breakthrough season. How will they handle it? Will the pressure catch up? But she seemed so loose and so bouncy and springy and just happy to be back out on court. And that was really fun to watch in the first match.
Oh, yeah. Her life, her profile, her status has transformed over the last 12 months, but it appears you have two choices maybe. You can either shy away from it and sort of block it out, or you can embrace it and enjoy it. And she seems to have taken the latter, and it hasn't seemed to have affected her at all.
So forehand down the line by Paquet, that is her weapon. She tries to use it from the center of the court, the forehand, to open up some angles. Not as easy to do on the hard courts as it is on clay.
If she's picked up from where she left off against Switzerland. Laura, lovely to have you with us as always. We've become quite a trio over the last few days. What are you looking for out here with this matchup?
Well, I kind of feel like it's going to be quite one-sided, so I'm looking for Paolini to just almost start ripping more, even more than she has been. Yeah, the win predictor there, I might have to agree with for the first time in my life. But it just seemed like Jasmine, as you guys have been saying, is in such a good headspace at the moment, and we know that she's been able to bring a bit more acceleration into her forehand side in particular. And when you look at what she's improved on over the last 12 months, it's kind of everything. So really, I'm just expecting to see her start this season the same way that she ended the last one. So yeah, nothing new from down here other than the fact that it is very humid.
Oh, I'm sure you'll come up with something original over the next hour or two.
Thank you, Sam.
You always knock me off my chair with something random that you found on the internet.
I will say that Paquet's front foot on the serve has always confused me. The fact that it's so side on and then the rest of her body is still front facing. It seems like she's jamming herself up before she even starts the motion.
Oh, that is just so good, and we saw all the abilities this young woman has. Jasmine Paolini opens the court up with that heavy forehand inside in. The opponent has to cover a lot of ground, and the flat backhand into the open space and covers the net beautifully. Just doesn't give you any room to act, to breathe.
WTA Coach of the Year, Enzo Furlan, and richly deserved. Top player in his time as well, top 20. 4th round at the Australian Open. Chloe's 30 years of age. A football fan, PSG. She lives in Paris these days, so gets a chance to watch them. But born in Versailles, one of the most famous western suburbs of the city. You forget actually people live in Versailles. I never thought about anyone living there. You tend to think chateau and gardens.
And here we saw quite well what Laura just mentioned earlier. When you take the foot so sideways, the goal is to get a lot of rotation in the upper body and henceforth a lot of speed. But because she's frontal facing, she's kind of blocking her lower and upper body against each other. And sometimes that shot can break down on her.
Not unexpected early break.
A strong start from Jasmine Paolini, and Laura just mentioned the improved aspects of her game, and one of that is the forehand. It used to be her Achilles heel. You knew that if you got into there hard and fast, you could get some short balls and unforced errors, but she has cleaned it up very nicely, and we see here why she takes it cross-court a lot of times, 54% in fact, because she wants to open the court, wants the open space.
Lovely.
And in fact, the 29% of the down-the-line shots that we see from Paolini on the forehand side, they have increased, which helps her in the unpredictability. She used to go almost exclusively cross-court on the forehand side, so you could cover that one. Now she keeps you honest.
Do you feel like she can afford to go line more because she's playing up closer to the baseline these days as well? She's not that heaviest hitter, but she's certainly not hitting it softly. You know, I think she's an underrated ball striker when you think of the pace that she's constantly getting on that side.
Oh, she just tried to show it off for you, Laura. Couldn't quite get there. Yeah, I think that she always used to have one of the most explosive muscle fibers on the WTA tour, and now she just managed to sort of put them to use better by staying closer to the baseline, as Laura just pointed out, trying to recognize the shorter balls earlier, and that gives her more options on the forehand side.
Actually, Andrea, you've watched this evolution from playing her 4 years ago at Wimbledon and getting the win, and then seeing the progressions over the last couple of years.
It really has been, in a way, mind-blowing, but also at the same time, strangely not surprising, because you could see from year, and I used to practice her a lot, from year to year, you saw the small changes and adjustments. Some nice play here from Chloé Paquet, showing off her athleticism and defensive skills. Likes a target at the net.
She's been asked quite a lot, you know, what's been the change, and she said that she felt early on in her career didn't have a lot of belief in herself and didn't back herself on a hard court. And that is difficult to process now, watching her here.
Advantage, Team Italy.
The Italian #1 moving quickly here. Paolini off to a fast start.
Team Italy leads by 3-0.
Buono già. Allez. Due cose. Lei sulla seconda serve sempre, lancia molto avanti, serve sempre slice, quindi stai bassa e vai in avanti. Usa il carico, vai in avanti. L'altra cosa, fai uscire un po' più il fiato, fai uscire il respiro, fai uscire anche un po' di suono, ok? Quando la metti in difficoltà, aspettati che lei giochi nell'angolo libero. Cioè lei gioca nell'angolo e vede, non nell'angolo giusto. Resto bene. Ordinata, manda, decisa, bella reattiva e tanta energia. Allez.
Enzo really doesn't need to say too much. It's the 8th year of their partnership, full time for about since 2021. It's almost a shorthand when you know each other so well.
You can blink in Morse code to each other.
She has all the answers.
From down here, it's just the difference in height. With every single shot that Paolini hits, there's, you know, a difference in speed, positioning of it, placement, and then the height over the net, especially on the forehand, changes all the time. It's very hard to read.
Oh, wow. Man, it is such a good point Laura is making. So many players nowadays have their favorite spot and their favorite strike zone where they like to hit the ball. If we think of Aryna Sabalenka, who prefers it a bit higher than hip, other players often around hip height. Paolini doesn't give you the same ball twice in a row, keeps you guessing at all times.
Okay.
Allez, encore. Bien dans le cours avec ton service là. C'était très bien ça. Encore.
French Federation system, I think they were very pleased last year. That ranking dipping into the top 100 for Fifix was partly because she made the third round of her home slam.
Allez, encore. Allez, prends ton temps.
Allez, Claude, allez, Claude. Allez, allez.
28-year-old Italian from the beautiful region of Tuscany. Chance here for the double break. And she takes it in style.
Game Team Italy. Team Italy.
Now just beautifully executed. You saw the deep backhand through the court, pushes the opponent back, then aims for the short one right here. This is the short point in the court. The angle opens the court up, closes the net, and that's the one-on-one. Jasmine Paolini play so much IQ in her game. Acceleration, belief.
Andrea, just coming back to that, has that become a much more important shot, the sort of the three-quarter length cross-court ball, particularly in women's tennis?
Yeah, it really has. I wonder what Laura thinks, but I think the one aspect of women's game that has progressed tremendously, the most of all other aspects, is the physicality and how quick these players are defending around the court. You have to find new angles and ways to hit winners because the women have gotten so athletic and are covering so much ground.
Yeah, you think of years past, and in the top 10 there might be one or two players who you would consider a bad mover, and you know it's all relative, of course, but these days you just can't afford to be a bad mover.
All right, now, Jasmine Paolini is a good everything, and she's one game away from taking this first set.
Ha tirato la classica seconda alla Mandines sul 30 pari.
Who would you say is, I mean, I don't want to say the worst mover, who would you say is the least agile of the current top 10, Andrea?
Well, I think probably Rybakina, but that is with an asterisk because she has also the most powerful game and the best serve in the top 10 probably, so she doesn't have to move as well as a Coco Gauff, for example. But this is on such a high level. You know, we're talking about the best athletes in the world here, the best tennis players in the world. But what would you say? Do you have?
I would say the same, yeah. But and yet she still makes a lot of balls in court. So I think she's deceptively good at anticipating. Less so, you know, she's never going to be one of these athletes that you see on the stretch, in the splits, super flexible. But because of the levers, she still makes it to a lot.
I have a question. Speed is nothing without balance. Who is the most fastest, who is the quickest and the most balanced of the top 10?
So the first name that comes to my mind, and she has retired, but it was always mind-blowing for me to watch up close, is Angelique Kerber. And
yeah,
in reality, there was one photographer who told me that Angelique Kerber was the only player on court that he would photograph, and out of 100 photos, 99 would be perfectly in balance. All other players, you would have 10 photos that would work out of 100. Because of course we are running around, but Angie was always in perfect balance.
We'll see Chloe at Melbourne in a few weeks' time. She has been given a wild card due to a reciprocal arrangement between Grand Slam nations.
Fifteen on.
123 in the world. It could be, if she win a couple of rounds, could change her year. Paolini will be the 4th seed behind Sabalenka and Swiatek and Coco Gauff. She's in the big time now as one of the contenders.
Isn't that just mind-boggling when you think about the fact that Paolini had never made it past the first round of a slam until Australian Open last year?
And then she makes back-to-back Grand Slam finals and picks up an Olympic gold medal in the doubles. It was a wonder year, wasn't it? I mean, we should remind us she's also 10 in the world on the doubles rankings.
Forehand to set up set point, and we just saw on average 5 kilometers an hour faster than Paquet's, and it has shown today.
It has been, in my best Italian, rapido in this first set. There's no let up from Yasmin Paolini from one season to the next. And she takes an emphatic 6-love opening set. That is a 5'4", 1m63 frame. What she gets out of it. American great player Rosie Casals was of a similar height, and I'd heard that she'd had in her day one of the great serves on tour. So I asked her, I said, Rosie, what was the secret? And she just said, great mechanics. That was a complete sentence, and I always feel the same when I'm watching Paolini. Oh, we could watch her play tennis all day long.
Four to 15.
Just a few backhands flying long on Jasmine Paolini, and all she does is smile about it. If we could all have a bit more of that attitude in our life.
Well, we're in the era of smiling tennis, aren't we, with Carlos Alcaraz?
True.
And on the women's tour, Jasmine Paolini.
And I think even Jannik Sinner smiled once after last year's season.
I do think she's secretly lethal, though.
Advantage.
Inside.
Like, well, I mean, 18 months ago, she might have had a dip in concentration at 4-love in the first set. But you just don't really see that, because now she's, you know, got so much belief that she actually does want to win 6-love, 6-love.
That's the best point from Paquet.
Wonderfully done. And Laura, was there a bit more pace on these ground strokes from Paquet?
Absolutely, yeah. You see the rotation on the replay as well, just getting a bit more oomph with the shoulder turn, and then disguise that last one. Deserved the applause.
Advantage, Team Italy.
Grande già!
She's also making it very physical as well, isn't she, Paolini? That's another strength, and that players will start to fear that. You know, can you stay in these long points with her?
Game, Team Italy. Ball change,
This
please.
hold, it's 7-0
New
now,
balls.
Laura. What
First game,
does
second set.
Paquet have to do? Is there anything she can do, really?
I mean, yeah, you mentioned the first serve, but I think she's just got to go for a bit more. In those last couple of points, it seemed like Paolini actually stopped adding so much height, and that's where Paquet was able to just generate a bit more pace, because there was more coming onto her racket in the first place. But no, I think she, you know, it's 6-love, 1-love. You just got to play brave tennis, and you're just hoping to get on the board, aren't you?
Unless you can pop on there and help her out, Laura.
I wouldn't be any help, actually. Not against Paolini with the way she's playing.
Do you remember Paquet from juniors? Because you're a similar vintage, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I do. And Paolini, to be honest, as well, from when she first started on the Challenger Tour. But yeah, Paquet was always a really, really good junior. And then there's kind of lingered around that same ranking in seniors for a number of years now. Paquet's always had this, I don't want to call it an issue, but with the front foot on the serve being so sideways, and in the past, way back in the day, she used to have a much more abbreviated motion, so it wasn't quite so obvious. She'd go straight into that classical French take back, almost like an Alizé Cornet.
That's well played. Yes, the angle of that front foot is almost sort of physics defying, isn't it? And it wouldn't be a difficult, well, it must be difficult for her to change it. It looks so uncomfortable.
I do think Paquet's mindset is kind of counterintuitive to her frame. She has this nice tennis player frame, but her mindset is to sort of put the ball in the court and see what happens, to defend well. And I think she has the ability, and I think Laura remembers from junior, she used to be quite a big hitter, and then at one point she just started to kind of make more balls.
That's more like it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like if she could just every now and then, if she feels more comfortable in the defending position, that's absolutely fine. But every now and then, to win these matches, to get back into the top 100, I think she just has to take initiative into her own hands when she has a short ball and just go for it a bit more decisively.
It's taken her over half an hour, but here she is with the first game point on her serve. Oh, she takes it in style.
Team France.
So you must paraphrase what you're saying. Her talent and her physicality are not aligned.
The mindset, I think her mindset is to make a lot of balls and see whether the opponent will miss. But I think her frame and the ability in her ground strokes is there to go for a bit more.
But there's a mismatch, isn't there?
Kind of.
Yeah.
In my mind, from watching her play actually many matches, especially at the French Open. And oftentimes you will see exactly these types of matches with her, that she loses the first set, has her back against the wall, and then just does a bit more because she has to, and right away plays a lot better. And I wish she could bring that from the get-go.
15-all. 30.
Allez, Glo.
Oh, she makes it look so easy.
40-30.
Ale, con energia.
Allez, dynamique. Allez.
Deuce. Advantage, Team Italy.
Allez, Claude.
Allez, Allez, t'es présent. Super, encore. Continue. Allez.
Allez, Claude.
Allez, t'es là.
Very little respite for Team France. Paolini powering through the second set
Team
now.
Italy leads
Brava
by
tu.
2-1.
Il primo punto della risposta?
Volevo andare a Ugolina.
No.
Well, there are many
Bisogna andare col
lovely
dritto, una volta che la vedi
spots
così.
to go to if you have a chance to visit this part of the world, and one of the great beaches of the eastern suburbs is Bondi. And if you have a chance to swim at icebergs, make sure you don't swim in the exciting lane because you might not be there when the wave has gone. You might be on the other side of the pool.
I heard you had a little mishap there, Sam.
Yes.
But still a recommend.
It's an experience.
Okay.
Are you a swimmer?
Fagli sentire un po' di
I
presenza.
love to
Fagli
swim.
sentire
Okay.
un po' di presenza.
Yeah, it's an experience.
Ok? Bella decisa.
They have many lovely pools in this part of the world, and there's a fantastic one on Woolloomooloo Bay, very close to the Botanic Gardens, and it has salt water, so you get the experience of an ocean pool, but without the excitement and the drama. The only problem is one of my favourite spots. It's being renovated.
Oh no.
I was devastated. But it looks out onto Woolloomooloo Bay, which is where they restore and refurbish all the tankers that come in. So it's a great spot.
Time. 15 all.
We just question whether Paquet's able to sustain this higher level of hitting, because it's not something that she does day in, day out. So you might be able to do it for 3-4 games, but against Paolini, who does it relentlessly, then it's a different challenge.
Now that right there for me was the
15.
perfect example of what Paquet still can work on to become a stable fixture in the top 100. She had the short ball, and instead of going for it, she just sort of guides it, and then Paolini takes the opportunity and puts pressure on her opponent. Sometimes she misses out on these opportunities during rallies that occur.
Yeah, she's getting that sinking feeling, as I'm sure Captain Fabrice Martin is as well. She could do with practicing with Paolini for a couple of weeks, couldn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody would profit, I think.
Yes.
Game, Team Italy. Team Italy leads by 3 games to 1. Love 15.
What's so wonderful about Jasmine is that she doesn't come to the net because she's supposed to, or the coach has said you must come forward more. She wants to. Her game seems to take her there naturally, and she looks so comfortable when she is there. And I wonder if that is part of the product of the way they teach in Italy, which they teach all the shots from the word go. They'll be teaching the kid drop shots at 5 years of age. So they teach it as a whole, not let's get the ground strokes fixed up and then add. And she probably was doing that when she first picked up the racket.
40-15.
I love when that happens. You were just talking about something and the player just comes through and underlines.
Doesn't happen often, but
you want variety?
It looks natural, doesn't it? It looks natural, and it is because she's been doing it for so long. She hasn't just bolted it onto a game. That's the way.
That's nicely done by Paquet, but I will say Laura mentioned it at the beginning of the second set. Paolini just got into a couple of games where she played a bit more straightforward, a bit more, let's say, yeah, just a bit more predictable. And now she's back to doing what she did in the first set, the drop shot, the net attacks.
Team Italy are on their way to complete the victory here. Paolini 4-1 second set.
Team Italy leads by 4-1.
That serve
Gran
has
seconda
improved so
e gran
much, though,
step
hasn't
dietro la
it?
palla,
The
cazzo.
ability to
Brava.
kick on the
Ale.
outside, out wide, and straight away look for the forehand. It's totally changed.
Is it good enough, that
Ottimo.
second serve, to take on
Tieni
the
solo il
might of
focus così, con
Swiatek
energia,
and
fagli sentire la
Sabalenka,
presenza.
Laura?
E va bene.
I think she has the ability to
Lei sulle palle
adjust the
morbidi,
second
se
serve
fai
based on where someone's
così
returning
anche
from
sul
though.
back,
If
fa un casino.
someone's taking it on the rise and inside the baseline, then
Però
she
sulla
probably
palla
won't go
tesa
for
gioca
that
benino.
kick serve out wide so much. She probably want to keep it staying low and
Tieni alta comunque
slice it in the
l'intensità,
team.
cambia la
But she
velocità,
has
o meglio,
options now,
cambia la
which she
rotazione, ma
previously
tieni alta
didn't
e
have.
spingi, sempre. E sempre
How do you feel
con
she's
intensità,
improved?
sempre
I mean, what
assidua,
has
sempre
she
col
done?
focus.
Is it a mindset or?
Well, Andrea was mentioning the forehand speed difference, and that's changed her mindset, I think, just to know that you've got a bit more of a weapon that's going to get you some free points, and that on the return games she can afford to go for a bit more. To be honest, it's a bit of everything, but it's also like chicken and the egg, isn't it? Is your game better because your mentality is improved, or vice versa? And Paolini says herself, she's like, well, it helps when you win a lot.
That solves everything.
Allez, respirez, on y va à fond. Allez, vers le haut et vers l'avant.
Allez, Claude.
Allez, t'es engagé au service.
Perfectly played.
30-15.
T'es prête derrière. Allez, on met des calmes.
Allez, Claude.
Bien les jambes, encore.
Game for Team France.
Bravo.
Team Italy leads by 4-2.
And there is a resilience
Allez, Claude. Allez,
about
allez, Claude, allez.
Tobacco. She's 30 years of age. She spent 5 years, the last 5 in the top 200, playing the lower tiers, winning quite a lot of matches, and then dipping a toe in the tour events. And I think probably torn between Does she could play up? Does she stay where she is? Very hard to schedule at that ranking.
15 love.
And yet she's still out there. And a couple of years ago, she was a couple of spots off from breaking the top 100, and I'm sure that was the goal. She didn't do it, and she could have slipped back in her late 20s, but no, she did it last year. Oh, fantastic.
30 love.
Tieni alta intensità. Lei.
Now you can see here just the difference in positioning, how quickly Paolini goes up to that ball, finishes inside the baseline, whereas Paquet always a few meters behind the baseline, just being rushed by her opponent.
And that is in stark contrast to where Paolini played a lot of her junior tennis in the early years on tour. She was back behind the baseline. He needs some cheering up, doesn't he? Tough, tough morning for him. She can do everything. Italy 1 game away now from taking this match.
Team Italy leads by 5 games to 2.
Something that Laura was talking about a little earlier in the match. I mean, before the Australian Open last year, she's never been beyond the second round of a Grand Slam. And I still go back to that match against Angelique Kerber when she was here last year. And I know you remember it pretty well, but I was sitting up here in the commentary box and she had won the first set and she started cramping in the second and went 4-1 down or something like that. And she had to be more aggressive. She didn't, I mean, she fell over. She couldn't stand up. We didn't think she was going to finish the match. And I wonder, and she had to start, she just started hitting winners all over the place. I wonder if that was the click moment, because she came back to win that set 7-5 against a great player. And you couldn't script that or plan for it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because for me it started even a bit earlier in Billie Jean King Cup. It was just a month before, prior to United Cup, and it just, you could just sense that she wanted to do well for Italy. And so she did play more aggressive than she would usually do. And maybe plus that match against Angie Kerber, where she had to play more aggressive because of the cramping, it feels like all these things accumulating for her to get that mindset, get the confidence. And then the 4th round at the Australian Open, and all of a sudden everything started to click into place. And I will say, for players like Paolini who have so much variety, sometimes it takes a while for them to know and have the instinct, when is it the right shot to play a drop shot? You know, when is it the time to come to the net? And I think it's not a coincidence that she peaked a little later, because she just has so much variety and options in her game.
Led for serve. Love 15.
Chloe Paquet is rather crumpled out here, hasn't she? She needs a helping hand.
15-13.
Those are the ones you got to talk over.
In Germany, we have a saying: when you have bad luck, misfortune tends to accompany it. And that felt like it a little bit here.
And on the flip side, top players and champions tend to get the luck even when they don't need it. That's the way.
40-13.
That's a lovely combination.
News.
Great Tracy Austin, the world #1 Grand Slam champion, has a great word to describe Paolini today. And Tracy takes this, says this as a compliment. She's being very stingy. And that is not a derogative, that's praise.
Advantage, Team Italy.
Then a high tempo performance from the Italian #1. A chance to win the battle against France.
Game, set, and match, Team Italy.
Paolini and Italy surge into the quarterfinals. A comprehensive victory from the Italian #1. 6-love, 6-2 in exactly 1 hour. And Forza Italia. It's a very good time, isn't it, to be a tennis player from her country. Wow. And Paolini underlining this great start to the season. What might be in front of her?